Hello everyone, welcome to our test kitchen, which is also our home kitchen. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of product development. We're creating a spicy version of our tandoori dry rub and our curry dry rub. And the reason we're doing that is because our family and friends have been telling us that the flavors are great, but you really need to add a little bit of spice. And I know product development might be a little bit mysterious to people. How do you come up with these mixes? Well, what we do is we have we start with a base recipe that we've developed over the years, and we then add maybe a little bit of flavor here, a little bit of flavor there. And it's a scientific process, right? You want to only add one thing at a time so that you can see how that impacts the overall mix. Someone once told me that cooking is kind of like directing an orchestra. You want to make sure that every instrument has a place and is heard and adds to the overall mix, and not one instrument overwhelms the whole orchestra. Now, you may have a piece of music that's tilted towards the horns. In the same way, you may have a recipe that's a little bit spicier, but you don't want those horns or the spice to overtake the rest of the recipe. So it's a really interesting thing when it comes to product development. And also, obviously, you can taste it directly, but that's never going to give you the full flavor. So you got to put it on food. So today, we're going to be preparing some chicken wings with our test versions of these two rubs. We'll see how it goes. So come along for the ride. So what we got here is just about two pounds of chicken wings. What we're going to do is separate the drumettes from the wings itself, and we're going to use about 2 tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of the curry and 1 tablespoon of the tandoori dry rub. We're actually going to try 2 different methods. Our friend who actually gave us feedback about the spice also mentioned to us that there's a slightly better way of cooking these rather than just tossing it in the spice rub and throwing in the air fryer, because that might end up burning a little bit the spices. His suggestion was to toss it in salt and pepper, put it in the air fryer, and then toss it with the rub. So we're going to try that with the curry, and with the tandoori we're going to do it our traditional way and see if there's a difference. While I was just about cutting this, I realized it might be a good point to talk about how we can separate joints, not just on chicken wings, but also on thighs and legs and things like that. Sometimes this is a little intimidating for folks who haven't cooked a lot before. Honestly, I hadn't learned how to cook until I moved out on my own, so I fully understand the sort of apprehension, but it's not particularly complicated. All you'd have to do is just sort of slice down to where you think that knuckle's going to be, slice around it, just get a nice sharp knife, slice around it, feel where that knuckle's going to be, like right there, and just sort of cut straight through. So you do want to make sure your knife is sharp, but other than that, it's something that you can learn. Don't let that prevent you from trying to cook at home. What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of dry these off as we pop them into our... I dried them off earlier, but just, one more time. Pop them into our bowl here. Whoopsie. Just use a paper towel. Doesn't need to be particularly dry, just enough. And we're doing about 3 of each in each set. So there we are. That's 3 right there. And then we're going to put the oil and the seasoning on. So we're going to do the seasoning first. This is the tandoori one, so we're going to put the seasoning all up in here. This is about a tablespoon's worth. Tablespoon per pound is kind of our going rate here. We want to mix it in. Apologies, I'm doing this one-handed. Mix it all in. Make sure you get... It should look nice and red, just what you're looking for. That means that you've got a good amount of the flavors packed in there. You can always add some more salt and pepper if you want. Some of this is to taste, so try it out and see how you like it. And then, adjust either more seasoning or more salt and pepper, whatever you want to do. I have not done any salt and pepper. I just want to get the taste of the actual rub. So now we're just going to add a little glug of oil. And the oil's just there to sort of, it's not so much a binder, it just helps sort of help it crisp up nicely in the air fryer. The air fryer is not, honestly, a super high heat. I think people think that it is, but it's not like a super high heat. So you want to try and promote as much of that crisping as you can. All right, well, that's good. And it's going to go in the air fryer now. Now we're just going to lay these out in the air fryer basket. Give them a good amount of space in between each so they can cook properly. We're going to do this about 400 or 450 or however high your air fryer goes for 15 minutes. Now we're left with the curry, so we're going to toss this in and we're going to follow our good friend's recipe here where we're going to just do some oil, a couple of cracks of salt, a couple of cracks of pepper, and with this one we're going to do 10 minutes and then 5 minutes. So what we do is we put it into a bowl and then toss in all of our seasoning here, the curry dry rub, and then we're going to toss it to coat. And it's very important you don't try to do this by hand because it's extremely hot. So use one of these things. I'll have to put the camera down to toss it properly. Give me a minute. And this is what it looks like once it's been tossed. So we're going to put it back in the air fryer for just about 5 minutes. Ooh, that looks great. Well, it's done and it looks great. Well, I'll say the theory is accurate. If you look at the curry one over here, it's definitely a lot less dark and crispy looking than the one on the left. So I wonder, like, it's all going to be in the taste test. Well, it looks pretty good. I'm going to take my first bite now. This is the tandoori spicy chicken wing. Very flavorful, but I think we need to amp up the spice a bit. I'm not a huge spice guy, and this is perfect for me. All right, pretty good. Really good, but not very spicy. All right, let's try the curry one. This one I suspect is going to be a little bit spicier. Yeah, the heat definitely comes through. Yeah, so this is definitely spicier. The tandoori, I think I need to amp up the spice, but this one's got that heat. Starts warming. It's a warming heat. It's not really burning heat, so feel it sort of like taking over your mouth. Oh yeah, and the heat comes after us. That's good. All right, so I would call that a success. I think I do need to amp it up for a little bit more for the tandoori, but for the curry, I think we got the right amount of spice. So we'll find out more when our chief tasting officer gets to try it out. All right, so we're now here with our chief tasting officer who's going to taste it. And we've got one of the tandoori and one of the curry, so go ahead. Live reaction. I've not allowed her to taste it before, so this is actually on camera, the right reaction right here. And
ooh,
so that's really good, but, or you think that's good, full stop?
ooh, tandoori is amazing.
But is it spicy enough?
Oh yes.
You think it's spicy enough? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Do you have more of these?
I do. So now can you try the curry? Now that's the one that I felt was spicy.
Okay.
So that one's got, yeah, I know. So I had to reheat it. Well, it was a lot more juicy when you just, too hot? Too hot? Sounds like it was too hot. Oops. Do you feel the heat sort of like
temperature? Yeah.
No, not the temperature. I'm saying like, so the thing is, this one's not an upfront heat, right? So it builds.
It is definitely spicier.
spicy good? I hope.
Good.
All right. So that's a winner. That's what I was saying. I think the spicy skew, the curry spice is the right spice, because if you're telling people that it's spicy, it should be spicy. So after all of that, I think our final reaction is that it's good, and we're hoping that we'll be able to get that ready to go for next week. And so keep an eye on our website. We will be announcing it very soon. I think we're going to try a couple more for the tandoori to make sure it's spicy enough. If you're saying spicy, it's got to be spicy. So hopefully next week, keep an eye on the space. Thank you, guys.